Imagine standing in the middle of a silent, golden desert. The sun is beating down on your shoulders. Suddenly, you look up, and there it is, a massive stone structure, taller than any building you've ever seen, built with millions of heavy blocks. No cranes, no electricity, no modern tools. Just human hands and a dream of living forever. Pauses for effect. How did they do it? And more importantly, why were they so obsessed with the afterlife? Welcome back to the show, everyone. Before we dive into the heart of today's story and uncover the mysteries of the Pharaohs, I have a small favor to ask. If you find value in these stories and want to level up your English with me, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It really helps this channel grow and allows me to keep sharing these incredible historical insights with you. Now, let's get into it. To be honest, when I first started learning about ancient Egypt, I felt a bit overwhelmed. I mean, there are thousands of years of history. I remember sitting in school, looking at pictures of mummies and thinking, this is just too spooky for me. But once I started digging deeper, pardon the pun, I realized that the pharaohs weren't just scary kings. They were people with... Imagine waking up beside the Nile River over 4,000 years ago. The air is warm. Farmers are already working in the fields. Children run beside boats carrying grain and stone. Priests walk silently through giant temples. And somewhere in the distance, a pharaoh sits on a golden throne. To the people of Egypt, this ruler was not just a king. He was believed to be chosen by the gods, maybe even part god himself. That belief changed everything. Because when people believe their ruler controls life, death, and the future, they obey without question. And that is one reason ancient Egypt became one of the most powerful civilizations the world has ever seen. For over 3,000 years, Egypt survived wars, invasions, political chaos, and natural disasters. 3,000 years. That is longer than most civilizations in human history. Here's the surprising part. Ancient Egypt was not powerful because of magic. It was powerful because it mastered three things better than almost anyone else: leadership, organization, and belief. The pharaohs understood human psychology long before modern science existed. They knew stories create loyalty, symbols create fear, and religion creates unity. Every giant statue, every pyramid, every temple wall was sending the same message. The pharaoh is eternal. But behind that image of perfection, there was another reality. A world filled with political conspiracies, dangerous rivalries, and rulers terrified of losing power. And one pharaoh in particular would change history. Egypt existed because of one river, the Nile. Without it, Egypt would have been only desert. Every year, the Nile flooded the land and left behind rich black soil. That soil allowed crops to grow. Food created stability. Stability created cities. And cities created civilization. Well, this is one of history's biggest lessons. Great civilizations usually begin where people can control food and water, and Egypt mastered both. Soon, villages became kingdoms. Then around 3,100 BCE, a ruler named Narmer united Upper and Lower Egypt into one powerful nation. This was the beginning of the pharaohs. Visual, ancient Egyptian artwork coming alive. The Egyptians built an advanced society far ahead of its time. They created one of the earliest writing systems, hieroglyphics. They studied medicine, astronomy, engineering, mathematics. Some historians believe Egyptian doctors performed surgeries thousands of years before modern hospitals existed. Think about how extraordinary that is. While much of the world lived in small tribal communities, Egypt was building giant monuments visible from miles away. But none of these achievements happened by accident. Egyptian society was extremely organized. At the top stood the pharaoh. Below him were priests, generals, and government officials. Then came scribes, the educated people who could read and write. And finally, farmers and workers formed the foundation of society. Everybody had a role. Everybody served the kingdom. And the kingdom served the pharaoh. But that system came with a price. Because when one person holds absolute power, fear becomes part of daily life. One pharaoh wanted to build something humanity would never forget. His name was Khufu. Today, we know him because of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Even now, modern engineers still debate exactly how it was built. Huge stone blocks weighing several tons were moved across the desert without cranes or engines. Some workers spent their entire lives building this monument. Entire lives. And why? Because Egyptians believed death was not the end. To them, life on earth was only the beginning of a much longer journey. The pharaoh's body had to be protected. His treasures had to be buried beside him. His tomb had to survive forever. That belief created the pyramids. But here's something Hollywood often gets wrong. Most pyramid workers were not slaves. Many were skilled laborers who received food, shelter, and medical care. Archaeologists discovered worker villages near the pyramids, showing organized communities with bakeries and hospitals. Still, the work was brutal. Burning heat, heavy stone, constant danger. Yet people continued building, because in their minds, they were helping a divine ruler reach eternity. And then came one of Egypt's most fascinating rulers, a young pharaoh named Tutankhamun. King Tut became pharaoh at only 9 years old. 9. Imagine a child ruling one of the greatest civilizations on earth. But the kingdom around him was unstable. His father, Akhenaten, had tried to completely change Egyptian religion. For centuries, Egyptians worshipped many gods. But Akhenaten suddenly declared there should be only one main god, Aten, the sun disk. This shocked the entire kingdom. Priests lost power. Traditions collapsed. Many people were furious. After Akhenaten died, young Tutankhamun faced enormous pressure. And honestly, he may have spent much of his short life fixing the chaos left behind. He restored the old gods. He tried to reunite Egypt, but he died before turning 20. No one knows exactly why. Some believe illness killed him. Others suspect murder. And that mystery only became bigger thousands of years later. Because in 1922, archaeologist Howard Carter discovered Tutankhamun's tomb almost untouched. Gold everywhere. Jewelry, statues, chariots, weapons, and the famous golden mask that stunned the world. Newspapers exploded with excitement. People became obsessed with Egypt overnight. But then, something terrifying happened. Several people connected to the tomb died unexpectedly. Rumors spread quickly. The pharaoh's curse. Was it real? Probably not. Most historians believe the deaths were coincidence. But fear is powerful, and the legend of the cursed tomb became part of Egyptian mystery forever. But that's not even the most shocking thing about the pharaohs, because one ruler would become almost godlike during his lifetime. A man named Ramses II. Ramses II ruled Egypt for over 60 years. That alone was extraordinary in the ancient world. He was a warrior, a builder, a political strategist, and above all, a master of image. Sound familiar? Even modern leaders understand this lesson. Control the story, and you control public opinion. Ramses placed giant statues of himself across Egypt. Temples showed him defeating enemies heroically. Walls described him as unstoppable. Whether all those stories were true or not, people believed them. And belief creates power. One of Ramses' biggest moments came during the Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites. It was one of history's earliest recorded large-scale battles. At one point, Ramses and his army were nearly destroyed. But Egyptian records describe him charging bravely into battle and saving his soldiers. Now here's the interesting part. Some historians think Ramses exaggerated the victory. In reality, the battle may have ended without a clear winner. But Ramses understood propaganda thousands of years before modern politics. He controlled the narrative. And that shaped history. Think about that carefully. How many leaders today also create powerful public images to appear stronger than they really are? Ancient Egypt may feel distant, but human nature has not changed very much. Still, even powerful pharaohs could not escape one enemy: time. For centuries, Egypt seemed unstoppable, but slowly, cracks began to appear. Weak rulers inherited power. Political corruption spread. Foreign enemies attacked. Economic problems grew worse. And eventually, Egypt lost the strength that once made it legendary. The Assyrians invaded. Then the Persians. Later came Alexander the Great from Macedonia. And finally, Rome. Egypt was no longer the ruler of the ancient world. It became part of someone else's empire. Soft voice. This is one of history's most painful truths. No civilization lasts forever, not even the greatest ones. The pyramids survived, but the empire that built them disappeared. And honestly, that should humble all of us. Because every society believes it will last forever. Every empire thinks it is different. Yet history tells the same story again and again. Power rises, power peaks, then power fades. Visual, empty desert under moonlight. But even after Egypt fell, its influence never truly disappeared. Its ideas traveled across time. Its architecture inspired future civilizations. Its mysteries captured human imagination forever. And thousands of years later, people still travel across the world to stand before the pyramids in silence. Why? Because deep inside, humans are drawn to mystery. We want to feel connected to something larger than ourselves. And ancient Egypt gives us that feeling. Ancient Egypt changed human civilization in ways most people never realize. Its advances in engineering influenced future architecture. Its medical knowledge inspired later doctors. Its writing systems helped preserve human knowledge. Its political systems shaped ideas about kingship and centralized government. Even the way Egyptians viewed death influenced religious thinking for centuries. But maybe the greatest Egyptian achievement was psychological. The pharaohs understood symbolism. They understood how stories shape society. A giant pyramid was not only a tomb. It was a message saying, our civilization is powerful enough to build eternity. And honestly, that idea still exists today. Modern nations build giant skyscrapers, monuments, and landmarks partly for the same reason. To show power, to create identity, to leave a legacy. Human beings desperately want to be remembered. The pharaohs simply took that desire to an extreme level. And somehow, thousands of years later, it worked. Because today, we still speak their names. Khufu, Tutankhamun, Ramses, Cleopatra. Their bodies are gone. Their kingdoms vanished. Yet their stories survive time itself. That is powerful. What can modern people learn from ancient Egypt? Actually, a lot. First, civilizations are built on organization and cooperation. The pyramids were not created by one genius. They required thousands of people working together toward one goal. That lesson matters today more than ever. Great achievements usually come from teamwork, not individual talent alone. Second, image matters. Whether we like it or not, perception shapes reality. The pharaohs understood branding before the modern world invented the word. Their clothing, temples, statues, and ceremonies all created authority. Even today, leaders, companies, and influencers carefully manage their public image. Third, power without wisdom eventually collapses. Some pharaohs ruled wisely. Others became obsessed with ego and control, and history punished them. That lesson repeats throughout human history. Finally, life is temporary. The pharaohs tried to defeat death through monuments and wealth. But in the end, time defeated every empire. So maybe real immortality is not about building giant tombs. Maybe it is about the impact we leave on other people, the kindness we show, the ideas we share, the lives we change. Think about that for a second. Tonight, somewhere in Egypt, the pyramids still stand silently beneath the stars. Wind moves across the desert just like it did thousands of years ago. And beneath those ancient stones lie the echoes of forgotten voices. Workers, priests, queens, children, and pharaohs who once believed they would rule forever. Ancient Egypt was more than gold masks and giant pyramids. It was a story about humanity itself, about ambition, fear, faith, power, and the universal human desire to leave something behind after we are gone. That is why these stories still matter. Because even though thousands of years separate us from the pharaohs, their hopes were not so different from ours. They wanted meaning, legacy, connection, and a future beyond death. Maybe that is the real secret of ancient Egypt. Not the hidden tombs, not the curses, not even the pyramids, but the reminder that human beings have always searched for something eternal, something bigger than themselves. And honestly, maybe we still are. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient Egypt, comment below with your favorite pharaoh, or tell us one new English word you learned from this episode. And if you want more cinematic stories about history, civilization, psychology, and the mysteries of humanity, subscribe to the channel, because the next story may change the way you see the world forever.